Be good to go. All right, welcome. We'll call the meeting to order. We will bypass the minutes for just a moment and come back. Got one of our folks on the phone, so we'll come back to that in just a moment. And in case somebody has to leave early, you'll notice on item number 7, the next meeting is Tuesday, the 23rd of May. Mike, I'll talk to you after the meeting. I'm actually be out of town that day, but
Okay.
just found out a little earlier, but we'll get
Okay.
that organized for the 23rd. But going down the agenda, why don't we go ahead and if you'll start with your manager reports, and we'll come back to the minutes when
Right, thank you, sir.
Jeff joins us.
Well, let's see, let's go with Nathan. We done that, thank you, sir. So looking at the financials, we've, had, a good month, because anytime you can make some money, that's a good month. Sales for Avgas, we have 45,000. Our, cost of goods sold, for that month was 39. And then the sales on the Jet A, we had a $262,000 a month. Cost of goods on that was 172. Leases are in line. Concessions in line. Airport fees, still doing good on airport fees. We've still had a good bit of charters. This being March, we still had basketball. Things were starting to kick in with some baseball and softball just a little bit, but they're going strong now. Of course, not quite like basketball season, that's the big one, and then football. But we're still making some good money on those. Also volleyball, let's see what else is flying. I think that's about
I
it.
think the girls are hosting the golf regionals next week.
Yeah, they're
There's some
fine.
teams coming out here.
Yeah. Yeah, so all that's good. Corporate's been good. We had a good corporate month in March. Also, we're just talking just a little while ago, this month actually will be a good month, I think, for corporate, from what we've seen, this month. And then yesterday and today, we had a lot of corporate jets in. Some heavy hitters like Gulfstreams and whatnot, but there was a transportation, what was it, a conference, transportation conference that took place here in town. So there was a lot of aircraft for that. And so it's been a good month so far. Let's see, everything pretty much is in line. We did buy some furniture. I think that hit the March. And that was probably around $5,000 or $6,000. And when you go out, we had it last month, but when you go out there and look at it, you can see the furniture to the right. We purchased that. And then made some updates in the pilot's briefing area. We call it pilot's briefing area. Now we just made it a conference room. Because this room was used a lot, just one or two people. And sometimes, we would need this room, but we wanted to offer this room to anybody that really wanted it. So we created that other conference room. It has about 5 chairs in it. And so that way people can utilize that instead of taking this room up, for 1 or 2 people when we might need it for our meetings, through the month. So that's been a big hit. We changed to Coca-Cola. We have Coke here to do our vending. And we also have free water available to the pilots and passengers that come in from the flight side. And they can just grab a water. Coke's been good to us right now. They're just offering that, as a service to us, the water. And they provided also a cooler for it. And then also in our pilot lounge, there's a cooler in there too with water that they can take as well. So we're trying to, up our game a little bit on the customer experience as well. Any questions on financials? I will say that in March, our avgas gallons were 8,031, and it's right. That's the median, I guess, for our avgas. I think the highest we had so far this fiscal year was 11, almost 12,000. And, looks like the lowest was around 5,100 in December. Our Jet A gallons, for March was, close to 40,000, which, is right in line, with what we could expect for March. Any questions? The capital improvement projects that we have going on. Just got a real quick update from Rick Daniels, who's our on-site inspector with the 220 project. And that was started about 2.5 weeks ago, that project was. They came in strong. They're working strong on that project. Right now, they're working on under drain and the lighting as well. They're doing some earthwork right now as well. But they're having to deal with some wet dirt, that we have on the field, that they're trying to dry out before they can place it, in the safety areas. So that dirt has to be dried out a little bit more, to meet specs. And then they did hit a sewer line out there near Lexington, which seems to be pretty old sewer line. So I'm working with public utilities on that. I got a meeting with assistant director tomorrow morning at 8:30 to discuss that. We've already had discussions. We've met here in this room, and talked about it. It's an old line. Of course, it's going from Lowe's all the way to the jail. But they sent a camera under there in that line, and it looks like there's a lot of cracks, a lot of breaks, and it has been kind of wet out there. We're thinking because, it's possible that it was, leaking at one time. But it is a low-lying area, there's a lot of water out there too. So, but I'm going to talk to him tomorrow and see what he can do about that. But as far as everything else goes, the project's moving along nicely. Did you want to add anything?
No, I think you got it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The taxway alpha project, we've got a work authorization in from RSNH to do the redesign, and then the rebidding, pretty much repackage it. So that's into the mayor and commission. It's scheduled to be at their voting meeting on the 2nd of May. That's approved, then that will give RSNH the go ahead to get the design officially going. They've already kind of done some preliminary work, but that'll officially get it going. And then we're hoping, of course, we're not holding to it, but we're hoping 3 months, for design, and then 1 month, 30 days, for the bidding. That's the goal. That's the goal. The whole list. That's the goal.
Assuming we don't find anything that's unexpected in our other explorations out there, any more rock or anything like that. I think we can hold pretty close to that.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's the plan for Taxiway Alpha. We are working on self-serve as well. Do you want to report on that, Dan?
Sure. So I've gotten one quote that's for about $92,000. So trying to get 2 more quotes. We've got 2 other companies that we're working with. So Rebel Services, a little bit of challenge of getting them to respond back, but there is another company, Southern Petroleum, I believe it is, out of Dothan, Alabama, that's going to also provide a quote. So those are come along.
Yeah. So we're working on that. We have had a meeting with Titan, our fuel supplier, to work with us on that as well. They said they would. Told them we had a little bit of money in our budget to do that, and we're hoping to partner with them for maybe a half and half, which would be good. One thing that came up after our last meeting was that GDOT came to me and said they had some money that was available for a fencing project, and so they knew, we were wanting to do a fencing project, and that we would be hoping to get, some FAA money. But this money is state money. It came available, which I'm not gonna turn down any money. This state money, of course, is 75-25, so it's 75 state, 25 us. Of course, FAA money is 90%, then 5 state, 5 local. So, we'll have 5% match on FAA, but 25% is still good money. It's not a huge project, so, we could manage 25%. I've got the draft grant in the hopper right now for the mayor and commission to vote on the May 2nd meeting on that as well. The state wants to give us about 495,000, and then we'll have to match it for a total of 660,000. So we were hoping to get a little bit more from GDOT. Initially, they said we would. So I had done an agenda item with that amount on it. And then they came back to me last Friday and said, no, we want to, we kind of made a mistake. It's not going to be quite that much. It's going to be this. So I had to adjust it a little bit, which I think it was about $250,000 more that they would have given us. Which probably, from my understanding, because we already got a quote from somebody to do it, it probably would have covered it at the old price. But now, it's a different price. We'll be short, but in anticipating that, I put the agenda item as a phase 1 with the mayor commission. And so glad I did, because that way, if we can't finish it with the money we've got this time, we'll just have a phase 2, and we'll call it phase 2 and finish it up with money either we get from the FAA or state. It'd probably be more state, really, is what it would be. But what I'm hoping to do with that project is where we cleared the rope up, on this side of the runway. We took down all that old farm fence here, along here, took down all this farm fence right here. And I'd like to at least replace that. I know we have fencing here, so I kind of like to go here and then here, and then tie in here, and then from here go this way. So all that would be covered. And then I'd also, with that, I think I'll be able to finish it up with, let's see, this project has fencing going into 220. So I'd like to take it from wherever it ends and then continue on somewhere, I don't know, maybe there. So this portion and that portion, I'd like to get done with the money that we're getting for phase 1. So I think we'll be able to do it. We'll just have to see how far it goes, the money. And that's all I had on the capital projects. Any questions on any of them?
Any follow-up on the tower?
Yeah, so the tower we had, I think what we discussed last time. So right now, we did meet in this room. Did I tell you that part?
I think you were about to.
Okay, so we did do that. We met in this room. We had the FAA online. We had several FAA folks here that were pretty much engineers. And so we all, we had it up on the screen, and then we had a lot of the controllers over here too, wearing the goggles. And with all the information they had from the flying the drones and inputting it in their computer and determining, the locations on the airport, it was determined to, I think we dwindled it down to 3. One was over here still. I think the other one was out here, kind of just across the parking lot. And then the other one was over where the Quonset Hut building is over there. It's really, really hard because what they wanted to see was a good view. So we started at 60 feet, and they were able to manipulate the tower, as you're looking at it. You can say, okay, let's see what it looks like at 80 feet. So they bumped it up, and then you had the view at 80 feet. It's okay, the max was 120 feet. So let's bump it up to 120. But for every foot, I can't remember how much it was. It was $50,000 or something. I can't remember. It was probably more than that, but it was a bunch of money for every foot. And so, you want to try to keep it about 60 to 80 if you could. So that's kind of what we looked at. The big deal was to make sure that they could see over a lot of these buildings, wherever they were, to make sure they could see, you know, the threshold of 220, 927, see all of those. And with this location over here, you can see everything. With the one over there, where the Quonset hut is, you couldn't quite see everything because of the hangars. It was really up to the hangars, and you couldn't quite see over those hangars unless you went to a high height. So it went well. I'm thinking they're gonna probably put it somewhere in this direction over here, which is fine. Jessica, the tower chief, told me, you know, that one of the things that they will be looking at is that, you know, the responsibility is kind of on myself and Jessica to make sure that we can make this work here. Because if we are denied, you know, the location, they probably won't build, and they probably won't rebuild, because that's 40 years old. So we want to make sure that we offer them something that's going to work. This airport definitely needs a tower. I mean, we stay busy, especially, you know, through the football season, basketball season. But, so we're working hard to make sure that we accommodate them and can make it work.
What's the next scheduled
The
milestone?
next schedule is, after we did this, I think it's gonna be about 6 months down the road. We'll make a determination on, you know, trying to figure out which location is the best. Because right now, what they're gonna have to do is the environmental. Say the Quonset hut, for instance, that's a kind of a preliminary environmental that they can do, just to make sure that that's a good spot. And then if it is, you know, we'll have to tear the building down, which we're going to anyway, because it's just a liability to us right now. And then they'll have to do another full environmental on it. Once that building comes down, they can get down to the dirt. So that's kind of where it is now. They'll kind of preliminary do the environmental, take about 6 months. They're thinking that in about 2024, they will probably start building. And they'll probably take a year to build. We're trying to set it up where it's just, you know how they build a Dollar General or something. They're all cookie cutters pretty much. So that's what they're trying to do, is to design this, because it's just not us. It's going to be a lot of other airports that they're doing. And when they build ours here, they're going to try to build the Macons at the same time. So that's what they're kind of gearing up for. So you probably look at 2024.
Thank you.
Mike, you don't have any concerns really with any of the locations then,
I did over here. I was pushing not to have it over here.
because of parking?
Yeah. But the more I thought about it, it really is probably one of the best places. But, hey, Diane.
Hey, sorry.
But, you know, we have that parking area over there, which we will need a parking deck, eventually. I mean, we will need a parking deck. And whether we put it over there and then create some more parking over, you know, in that other area, trees are, it's all doable over there, in my opinion, anyway. I think we have enough room, you know, make parking lots and then build a deck. But that's something we really gotta jump on very quickly. Because I really do feel good about getting an airline in here at some point in time.
I'm quite surprised that the option across the 127
Yeah,
got dropped so quick, because from a visibility standpoint, a 60-foot tower could see the entire airport.
it can, and all it really would involve over there is just a few trees cut down, mostly I think these here. And these here, I'll see that, you know, this end, but yeah, it's gonna go right here. It's close to the VOR, number one. They were kind of concerned about that. I guess radio.
Oh,
I'm not sure. And then, access. I mean, even though there's access to it, you know, there is road. It's paved to this point, and then it's all just gravel. I think it does go this way too, and that's gravel. And then Jessica, the tower chief, had some concerns about it over there as well. Because A lot of people, as when they fly in, they say, hey, I'd like to go visit the tower. Like, and they like that. They like the visitations and all, and it would be really hard to get around there if somebody wanted to, visit them. And they like to be on this side. you know. The prison was kind of an issue, um, but it was it was more negatives, I guess, than positives, and not real bad negatives, just a lot more negatives, that they kind of popped up. So then they kind of weighed those, with positives, and they kind of decided on those other areas. Marketing and outreach. We done it? It seems like we're marketing and outreaching all the time. Um, Nothing major comes to mind when we visited anybody. We're showing people the airport all the time, tours and things, but nothing in March that I can recall. Any questions on the manager report?
All right, why don't we go back on the agenda to item number 2, the minutes. David had sent those out last week, I believe it was, at some point. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to review them. I had made a couple little changes to David, nothing of any substantive nature, certainly at all, but everyone has had an opportunity to review them. If we could entertain a motion. Have a motion from Steve, to have a second. Second from Jeff. Craig, let y'all arm wrestle as it is gonna be. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. We'll accept the minutes, and Davin, as always, thank you for preparing those. Go back down to item number 4 now, to old business. And at the last meeting, we had talked about some specifics on the strategic plan. And I think that has all been fixed now. So, Davin, Mike, Keith, anything to update or give us an update if you would on those? And I think we'll need to vote to accept it today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, essentially just we can, if anybody wants to go over these line by line, we can, but, essentially what it was providing to each goal, providing sort of a why are we doing this, response. And then there were a couple of, spots where, for example, where we said install fencing, or I think we may have just said, fencing, which we understand, implicitly, but from the outside, may need to say something a little bit more. So, that was increased in install fencing to increase security and safety. But that is essentially, the additions. And then the last was goal 6, that created employee development culture. Through employees' existing competencies and skills to increase safety and customer service. So because that is one of the things that we list as our values, it is important to include that as part of our strategic plan. So that's why that was added in. But happy to answer any questions, or what we can go through any of these.
And we did meet, we had a meeting with the mayor's office, Nikki and Wayne and Josh, and we went over it. I want to make sure that we were where we needed to be on this, and you all approved of it. So now we're bringing it back to you all, since we did make some minor changes, after you already had looked at it and made it. So we just want to bring that up and have you look at this and make sure you're good with it, and then we're going to move forward and put it on clear.
So for the benefit of those who were at the last couple of meetings when we talked about it, the process is we had taken the strategic plan as we developed, board had voted. Then we met with the county and the unified government officials. They made suggestions. We did those. They reviewed it. So this document is clear with the county. They've accepted it, or with the government. And now it's just back to us with the modifications that were made for clarity or
Yes,
for
sir.
addition to goal 6. Okay. So that's the process of which we're going through.
Yeah, and I'd gone over it and compared it to our last meeting of this group here on, was that, January 24th, in our January 24th meeting where we had some tweaks and it looks like Devin, you incorporated those, best that I can tell anyway, into this. Plus, each of the goals you added, kind of like y'all were mentioning where the, folks at the city were looking for what does each goal do? So you have like statement, goal 1, it has enhance airport infrastructure for the capital improvement plan. 2, continue to provide reliable air transportation and so forth. So it's all where you did that, but otherwise it pretty much, you covered what I see that we had in our, any tweaks that we had in our January meeting notes.
I just have one question, because I think this was the version you sent us. And under goal 4, I still see 3 TBDs listed.
Okay.
And I
okay.
know that we actually, I guess it was the January meeting.
Right,
When we actually did discuss replacing those with
Right.
specific
Oh, yeah, you're correct.
wording.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So
I can certainly update those, I know I've got that
Yeah.
information, so, yeah,
there were others, but now those others have been replaced with more specific wording,
right,
but it's just those 3.
okay, okay,
So it looks like it's a remnant.
Yeah.
got it, got it.
Okay.
I will update those so we can put it, I know I've got that information in my notes. so.
Okay.
So we'll put this on the agenda for the May meeting to vote, to update those.
If y'all are comfortable with me going back in the notes and updating those, I think we could probably go ahead and vote on that. If that's it.
I feel like we need to bronze this thing. And
I know.
And then just out of curiosity, so this will be the 23 strategic plan.
Yes.
Will we start on a 24 one? Is this going to be every 3 years? Okay.
And then we'll put it in Clearpoint. Then once we get this done, we were waiting to get this done before we did the annual report, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And I think that my understanding is that this actually will go through June of 25 with the understanding that, things often pop up. So I think this plan is good, except for those things that pop up through 25, so FY 25.
And the thing is, on the Clearpoint, that's where we can tweak things, as things change, as we add things, because this is basically just a basis of our strategic plan. But then on the Clearpoint, it's going to be the specifics, of dates and completion, what's next, now we have a fencing project, we'll add that, so the Clearpoint, we'll present that to you too, we're into it quarterly unless you want, sooner, more often rather, but if we have changes more often, we'll present it to you. But yes.
Yeah, I think we'd agreed in January that with the strategic plan, we're going to do a quarterly review, all of them in a year, and if there's something major that happens during the months, we would touch base on that. And I guess that first quarterly review would be, at our July meeting, once we have June results.
Yeah.
Does that seem to make sense?
If that's the
So we
one.
want to add it to the agenda.
Yeah.
Right, so why don't we entertain a motion to accept the strategic plan provided with the understanding that those item 4 TBDs will be adjusted. And Davin, if you'll send those out, just to let everybody take a purview, we go with that. So that is the convoluted motion on the table.
So moved.
Correct.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Thanks for all the work for everybody that's done with it. I know it's been a
Thank you.
labor of love and we'll take it for what it is. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, new business. I see there's none. Mike, anything that has evolved since the agenda was prepared on new business?
No, sir.
Okay. And understanding committees. But at the last meeting, we identified the membership of each of those. And I don't know if any of those have met. I know we've I know I need to answer a question back to Diane, which I'll do that. And then we'll start receiving reports unless there's any today for any of the committees that have been.
I would add something to see the air service development. I talked to Meat Hunt today, and they finally got the latest data. They said it finally came out, that they're gonna be using to update the market studies. And apparently, I don't know how often this data comes out, but it's not very often. So he said, there's quite a few folks that, want new market study updates. And so because of that, we've already told them, we want them to, give them for us. So it's gonna be probably a couple months, before we get it. But when we do get it, it will be, accurate data, for us to share with the airlines that they have been requesting for the past year and a half to two that I've talked to them. And then at that point, once we do get it, the plan is to present it to you all, and then also bring the Air Service Development Group together, which, Grant and Diane are on that, and bring it together. And who else? Okay, I thought you were, yeah. And bring you all together, and then he'll present it to you all as well, the group. And so excited about that. I want to see the numbers. I know they're going to be, better than what we had before, which were really good to begin with. So that's the plan on that.
So Mike, who do they sample in that survey?
So,
Do you know?
yeah, I was told at one point in time, I think what they do, they go back and look at, I think they go back and look at GPS data.
Yeah.
They look at, ticket history, in our catchment area. And they pull all that together. And then along with that, they also look at the history, the growth, whatnot, population. So they put all that together. And I'm trying to think what else was in that market study. But those are the big factors. And they gather that information and come up with, how many people actually fly out of our catchment area on a daily basis, fly out, how many fly in. That seems to be a big important number for the airlines that I've talked to.
Do you know how far back this set of data will go? Will it include the COVID years? I'm thinking that planes during that time was down.
I think it's gonna be, I don't think it will,
Okay.
because Mead and Hunt at one point in time said, let's go ahead and update it, but it was during COVID, and I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend this money, on something that's gonna change, because I knew it's gonna change in a couple of years. And things are really looking good. People are flying. Granted, business is still, not where it used to be. They're still doing the video thing, I think, but as far as, families traveling and that kind of thing, I think that's going gangbusters. And so I really feel that we get some good data out of this. And apparently everybody else does, because they want to be on the list to get their market study done too. So
do you think they look at people who live in your catchment area but fly out of Atlanta?
yeah, so they'll look at Atlanta, like the last one, they had Atlanta, they had Greenville, and they had Augusta.
Yeah.
Those were the ones that seemed to fly, on that pie chart. Atlanta was the big one, of course. I think Greenville was second, Augusta was like a third, almost sliver. But yeah, so look at all of that, in that catchment area that we have, who's going to Atlanta, who's going to Greenville, who's going to Augusta. I think those are the three. And then also, I'm sorry.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, then they'll also show the airlines, that are flying from, who's using which airline, in those areas. So it'll be pretty in-depth. It'll give the airlines a lot of information.
So no other standing committee updates, anybody? Thank you. Really all that we have on the agenda, I'll just kind of open up for good of the order. Think anything up from the Athens-Clarke County that we needed to be updated on?
Not at this time, Mike and Davin did a great job presenting the strategic plan the other, I guess, a couple of weeks ago. And, Wayne improved it right then and there. So I would echo what y'all said. I appreciate the hard work.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
30-second approval for.
Labor of love.
Easy way of working.
I do have a tiny Lexington Road one.
Okay, sure.
I didn't ask for it to be an agenda item because it's only a tiny update, but I just thought it was interesting. We did have a meeting this month for a change, and I guess in a nutshell, what's interesting is, most of the work that I've been involved with has been the 2018 T-Splost projects, as you know, along the corridor. And they're actually, in a nutshell, merging those now with the 2023 projects, because they overlap so much. So what it's doing in essence is actually bringing back into play the possibilities for trail development and other things connecting Southeast Clarke Park and Satterfield with the Firefly Trail, et cetera, all the way to downtown, with the airport in between. So it's kind of interesting because they're sort of rolling them over into the 2023. Because I kept wondering, I told you when I was going to be told, bye, thank you, we've had enough of you. But so I just think that's interesting because it brings back the possibility of all those things that, they don't have to be dead. Derek even talked about the issue of the original plan for putting a trail around the airport perimeter.
Yeah, I still think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and the fact that there's a new Athens in Motion plan now. So it's just, and then new developments along the highway, So it's just interesting because it's sort of brought some possibilities
That's
back
good.
around.
That's good.
Yeah,
Well, my intent is that as we move around with this fence, to have, I think it was 10, it was really going to be 5 feet on each side, but I think when I talked to the contractor, they were talking more like 10 feet on each side, which was in that price. And I said, well, hey, man, if you can do that, I'm good with it. That'll give us more room to do things in the trail for sure.
Yeah, the FAA standard is that you have to be clear of any obstructions 10 feet to either side of your.
It is 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but
that's
people
great.
can walk on it.
Yeah, they could go up there, but you can't have any you can't have any power poles or trees or things like that anybody could use to get over the fence within 10 feet.
Yes. That's good. Yeah.
What if it's a change for the whole one?
That's a very good point. I guess if you were industrious enough, you could probably make that work. I guess they gotta draw the line somewhere.
The most economical number was 10, right?
Yeah.
Never say never.
Right.
All right. Does anyone else have anything to bring for the meeting? As I said earlier, for those that were here, we'll have our next meeting the 23rd of May, which will be here quicker than we know. If you have anything in between now and that meeting that haven't put on the agenda, we'll get that organized, and I will not be at that meeting, so we'll get that organized for the next. Anything?
Devin, you said is it that meeting?
That's right. I'll be out that meeting. So I leave May 18th. So I will not be available to send someone be back until
We'll get everything out before Devin gets out of town.
I'll be.
All right, if I could entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Second.
Second.
Rushed it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
We will accept the motion and adjourn. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for the input.
Thank you, everyone.
But you, for that question.
Yeah.
About the 10.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
we have, hair service, but I never.